McDonald's apple pie has managed to remain a staple American fast food dessert for more than half a century. But as time-honored and beloved as the little pie in a cardboard pouch has become, there are secrets hidden beneath that doughy crust you may not be aware of. In the 1960s, McDonald's had a problem. None of the company's attempts at a dessert menu had proven successful. Luckily, franchisee Lytton Cochrane had a secret weapon: his mom's apple pie. Cochrane hired his mom and sister as dessert chefs. Using mom's original recipe, they created the fried turnover-style apple pies fans know and love. They soon became so popular, the family had to bring in a corporate supplier, and by 1968, the apple pie had been added to the official McDonald's menu. Everything was chugging along fine for McDonald's hot apple pie until the early 90s. Then, on one earth-shaking day in 1992, McDonald's stopped deep-frying its apple pies and began baking them instead. Fan reaction was predictable. Over a quarter of a century later, devotees of the fried apple pie are still grumbling, creating internet petitions to try and make America's apple pies great again. That kind of demand even led to black market apple pies being offered, with one LA chef even cutting a deal with McDonald's former pie supplier to produce what he called throwback apple pies. So did McDonald's learn their lesson? Apparently not, because in 2018, McDonald's changed the recipe yet again in another apparent attempt to produce a healthier dessert option. The Twitter outrage was palpable. One user tweeted, "McDonald's changed their apple pie crust and we should be rioting in the streets." While another added, "Where's the green box? Where's the apple pie?" The Frankenstrudel you have offered tonight is yet another example of big business sticking it to the common man. In other words, if you were lucky enough to ever find an original McDonald's apple pie, don't waste it by throwing it at Nick Cage.
I have to see my kids will tie on me, man! Go see your kids with shit on you! Calm down, man!
Before McDonald's recent change, the apple pie filling used to be a gooey mix of diced apples, which could be from anywhere: Italy, New Zealand, an enchanted forest, etc. Now, however, McDonald's has pledged to use only fresh, homegrown apples. Specifically, the franchise will offer pies made from 6 types of apples: Golden Delicious, John O'Gold, Rome, Gala, Ida Red, and Fuji. A McDonald's spokesperson explained, "Our newly fresh-baked apple pie recipe is in line with other positive changes we have made. We removed, for example, artificial preservatives from our chicken McNuggets and switched to real butter in our breakfast sandwiches because those changes matter to our guests." In addition to apples, the company has experimented with more than 40 different fillings and seasonal flavors in pies over the last half-century in the US and beyond. Most famous, of course, is the cherry pie, but they also have been known to cough up seasonal flavors like pumpkin pie, as well as all sorts of rando types like strawberry and cream, pineapple, and blueberry. And that's just in the US. Overseas, you can find variants like Australia's hot chocolate pie, China's taro pie, Thailand's corn pie, and Japan's bacon and potato pie. Yum! Given the success McDonald's had with their apple pie, it's no surprise lots of other fast food chains have copied them. But how do their pies stack up? Let's start with Burger King's Dutch apple pie. Unlike the McDonald's apple pie, which is really a turnover, Burger King's Dutch apple pie is an actual slice of actual pie. It's less portable as a result, but it's also more pie. How about Taco Bell's caramel apple empanada? It's a pastry pocket of diced apples and brown sugar and a little stingy on the apples, but it gets bonus points for being only $1. Popeye's cinnamon apple pie is a turnover covered in a blanket of cinnamon, so that's great if you happen to be really into cinnamon. At 430 calories, Arby's apple turnover is the most caloric of all these pies. However, it also comes with the flakiest crust and a drizzle of vanilla icing.
Arby's. Technically, it's food.
In 1971, McDonald's introduced McDonaldland, a magical fairy tale world where McDonald's characters like the Hamburglar and Mayor McCheese romped around. And the preeminent flora in this wonderland? The apple pie tree, which skipped the middleman by growing fully cooked pies rather than boring old apples. Sadly, McDonald Land was essentially razed by the early 2000s in the name of progress. But wayward apple pie trees may still exist in the wild, haunting older restaurants as you devour the fruits of its imaginary branches.